Hello, hope everyone's having a good Sunday and excited for another installment in the series I like to call Underrated Throwers. Today, we'll be doing something a little bit different. I don't think I've done a glider before, but this is actually one of my favorite gliders, Alessandro Andrei. I probably said that wrong. He's Italian. As you can see, his PR is 2291. Didn't count as a world record because it was kind of a downslope when he threw it, but he is highly decorated as well. I'm pretty sure he's won some world medals and stuff. And I mean, he was one of the most dominant throwers of the 70s, 80s with like Udo Bayer and Warner Gunther and Ulf Tournament and stuff. Really the peak of the glide. Um, and I really like his technique. Really simple. I mean, you can't get much simpler than the glide, but even his glide is more simple than most. So one of the things I like is that he really builds his rhythm by going up, down, and that creates a little momentum. And just instead of just starting down, very reminiscent of like a Ralph Bartels kind of start. And what this does is it really helps him really get down low and use momentum, which makes it easier to start out of like drive out of the back instead of just starting down and then trying to go back. And it really builds rhythm and tempo for the glide. And another thing I really like is that he rocks onto his toe when he does it too. His toe and then heel. Gets a really nice heel drive. And as he does that, he does he kind of rises a little bit, but for the most part he stays down with his upper body. So let's see. This is like right here. So he kind of raises a little, just a little, which I mean it is like almost impossible when you're actually doing a real full glide to throw it to actually stay like that low. You're going to rise a little bit just because you're just driving out of the back, so there's going to be a little bit of an up phase no matter what. Otherwise you won't go anywhere because you'll have to have a little air time. But it's really important with a glide to not just go flat-footed out of the back and drive or on your toe, because when you're on your toe, or I should say on the balls of your feet, and try and drive back, you're not gonna produce as much power, and it's gonna be a lot harder to stay on balance as opposed to go starting on the ball of the foot and then driving with the heel, because what that does is it really makes the separation throw, because you get this large space between your knees. It's hard to see on this view, but he gets a really nice space between his knees, and that creates a kind of like splits position. And what that does is creates the separation, and it makes the upper body easier to stay back, because when you try and like back and low, because when if you try and drive with the ball of the foot, you're gonna have a greater chance of going and jumping up, instead of when you drive with the heel back. When you drive with the heel, what that does is it makes you go more linear, because it makes you stay to the ground stay closer to the ground. I mean, it because I mean when you do a vertical jump, it's harder. I mean, you can't really jump up from your heel. You have to jump from the ball of the foot. So that's why you want to do a ball of the foot to heel drive in a glide. And also I think he could have done a more aggressive. I mean, this is very aggressive, but kick with the left leg. But what I really like about his kick is the direction that he does it. He does it um out, forward, and down. And this is a really good style for people who land in a wide position, because in the glide there are two types of power positions. There's the wide position, which he does, and then there's the one where you land in like a more rotational stance with like your feet under your shoulders. But he lands a little wider. It's hard to tell, but he does, because like um and he gets a really nice thing with I'm sorry, not thing. Really nice orbit with his left arm. And the reason, I mean, it's just personal preference and body type. Usually the taller you are, the more you would kind of want a wider stance, because you won't have to drive as far across the ring, so it'll be easier to stay in. And you can use a lot more linear power. Whereas if you're a shorter glider, you should probably use the shorter stance, so you can use a little more rotational power. But the wide stance, you're not gonna see that much rotation with the right foot, because he kind of just, what you're gonna do with this, with the wider stance, is just really just honestly kind of lunge at the finish. Well, not really lunge, but like drive this just forward. Not really rotate, but kind of push and go forward into your left side. So he's not gonna stay on the ground very long, but he's literally just gonna push everything into it. And you'll notice some parallels with a glide block to a jav block, because you kind of go down, have your left arm kind of go into your chest, and like your knee and stuff. I mean, not your knee, your elbow. As this is going through, so then you get more of an angle up instead of really out. Well, instead of like so you actually get up on it, because with this wide stance, if you didn't block like this, I mean, if he didn't block like this, it wouldn't go very. He wouldn't get very up on it, and it would be super flat. Just because just because you're going so forward, so that's what creates the angle for it. And it's just a nice, short, simple. Sorry, I forgot. I didn't even play this fast motion. Hold on, let me. Like, I just want you to see how quick he is. Really gets everything down, and just gets into it. No time wasted. And that's the also really good thing about having the wide stance, is that it just takes less time to be like to go into your power position. So you can really just boom, boom, right there. And he does shift like a little early, but he's just getting after it. This is a comp. He threw 2291. I'm pretty sure he got popped too for roids. Um, I mean, everyone in this era took roids. I mean, it was the 80s and 70s. I mean, whatever. Still threw far. But and I mean, I just really like his technique. It's a really simple, really nice block, really nice finish. And yeah, I mean, there isn't too much to say about glide. There isn't just It's very just simple. Honestly, if you're a beginner, I think you could throw far with a glide, just working on driving with the heel and staying low, and then just hitting it. And usually you'll find a good glider if they're tall, explosive, and have pretty good flexibility in their groin and hammies. And if they're and if you have like a really big stand throw, like for a woman, something like close to 13, 14 meters, a stand throw, you may want to keep them with a glide maybe to start out if they're having trouble just grasping the concept of rotation, or if they're not very good at discus, just because it's so much easier. And woman um woman's like body types and stretch reflexes and just genetic composition, you see a lot more women nowadays still be gliding just because it fits more of their biological positives as opposed to men. You don't see very many men glide anymore, um, as opposed to women. And women are still very successful at the glide. I think the world number ones for a while have been gliders. Um, for women, I mean, Michelle Carter won the Olympics with a glide in 2016. There have been a lot more women going the rotational, throwing similar distances, but the glide is still useful. Even Ryan Krauser talks about how the glide is, how when he started out with the glide, it's very, he kind of does a rotational version of the glide, and it's very interesting. I mean, I feel like people should, even if you're a rotational thrower, practice gliding, or at least stand throwing like a glider, or do drills as a glider, because it really teaches you how to get over the toe board and how to have a really strong block and how to really get out on the shot put and stay really patient with the upper body. As opposed to rotational, well, it's very easy just to just rotate around and not really hit anything. Where a glide, you really can feel like powerful positions because it's just all explosion. Because you're not generating that much momentum as compared to rotational technique. And that's why rotators have the potential to throw further than a glider. But a glider will usually be more consistent with how they throw. Unless you get a super high level athlete, that like a super high level rotational athlete. But even still, compared to a super high level glider, I mean, discounting Ryan Krauser, they're almost all like consistent, close to their PRs, almost always, if you get a really high level and consistent glider. Because it's just such a simple technique, there's just not much to go wrong. So I would say beginners, it's very useful. Even if you're going to eventually rotate, I think for your first year of high school or whenever you start, I think it's very profitable and very good to start with a glide because it teaches you the foundations of the throw. And it teaches you a lot of good habits to have if you do it right. And even if you don't throw far with it, it will help you in the long run if you switch to rotational. So yeah, I hope you like this. I hope you learned something. And I've started, I don't know if you noticed in my other videos, in the video descriptions, I've been putting all the accomplishments, their height, weight, anything of relevance I could find. Some of them I can't find their weight or height, and some stuff like that. Because I feel like it's very interesting and to know those types of things for them, because people are always very curious about how tall people are and stuff. I don't put their weight room numbers because I don't even want to put that out there, because you just really need the base strength and you can throw decently far. But yeah, let me know if you want me to do another glider. I can also if you guys have recommendations for people you want me to do a technical analysis with. I hope I'm getting better at these. I'm doing these off the book. Not off the book, like on the fly, just winging it. I do write down like some notes just so I don't forget to mention stuff, but for the most part, I'm not the best at explaining stuff. I'm more like to demo stuff. It's hard for me to explain stuff in this font because I'm not good at words, so I've been told. But yeah, a really, really nice thrower. Really nice. And very underrated. And yep. So, hope you liked it and have a good day.